Hey guys, this is Andrei, a certified translator and a real estate concierge. My company has been successfully relocating people to Belarus over the last 3 years, mostly EU, sometimes US, Canada, Australia. And this video is about why people choose to relocate to Belarus. Some of you may be still watching the TV and see which side of the Iron Curtain to choose. Some of you seek a destination for a happy retirement. And unfortunately, in the top 10 such destinations for Europe, Belarus was not listed by the corrupt Western media. My blog is not a media release. Any consultancy should be obtained from a professional, normally for a payment. So here I'm just sharing my impressions, my suggestions. I would like to thank very much all the guys who have been supporting the channel over the last month, especially the guy Brian. Your support is really appreciated. Let's share the top 5 reasons, more like categories of reasons, why people are moving to Belarus. Let's get started. As the newlyweds are embracing each other out here in central Minsk for their inescapable photo set, I'd like to point out a couple of things. I can't say everything on the screen because Western censorship, just like Eastern censorship, will shut down the channel or moderate the channel, which I don't like. And here we'll try to be kind of neutral, do a bit of reading between the lines, and summarize the common factors we can think of. By the way, most of my audience is guys, lads, people, men 25 to 55 years of age, and normally that would probably prompt the rating of the factors moving people in here. I don't have too many family folks, and obviously mixed families, mixed couples go by the talent and skills of the wife, so I don't really track that kind of a relocation, and I can just share some rumors about why the families chose to be in Belarus, to come back to Belarus or to move to Belarus from the flourishing West. Flourishing West, civilized Europe, all these expressions I'm using as a sort of a stereotypical thing, the way we see it ideally, not the way it is practically, so no need to put down in the comments, or you can put down in the comments anyway, anything you like, but correcting me saying that Europe is not doing well is not necessary. I've been seeing a lot of people coming from there. I kind of understand that may be true. So for most of the people I know, number one factor for the relocation was the cost of living, the cost of infrastructure and its quality. 200 megabits a second internet, if I said it right. $500 a month flat, maybe $1,000. Costs 3, 4, 5 times as much from at the places where they came from. I've heard numerous times that such and such meal would have cost me like 3, 4, 5 times back there where I am, in California, in the West, generally in Germany, wherever. So the cost of living for other things, for other family things that I cannot think of offhand, may be much cheaper here, including the healthcare. I'm getting some rumors, some reports, let's say, reviews that people are waiting for appointments for months to get some niche specialists that you can see just in a matter of a couple of hours here in Belarus. And that requires no prior booking or any complicated moves. And by the way, most of the TRP residency guys are on paid insurance, otherwise they may get their subscription to the local polyclinics and see their GP or related doctor, basically free of charge and based on their early arrival to the polyclinics. That's the worst thing you have to do, just wake up earlier and get a ticket to see your doctor this early, that's it. Just came to my mind that taxes that people pay for their houses, and we're talking about village houses 1 hour from Minsk, are $20 a year tax. Actually less than that. That's for the land rent, half of it is for the house itself. We could also think of 13% income tax. I'm not sure how one can avoid taxation overseas, but I have an accountant here processing folks who already paid their taxes overseas, and some declaring their income here, their income tax here. If they paid more than 13% abroad, they would pay nothing here. Otherwise taxation is very complicated, so you'd better find yourself a professional who'll be handling this. And otherwise, I guess Americans still can't avoid Uncle Sam cutting off their fair share, his fair share of their earnings, universal taxation mode or something like that. Later this season, later this month, we'll try to make another video about the costs of living. Komarovsky food market prices are going down because the new harvest is in, so we'll see what costs and how much, and if you have any related requests in that regard, in that respect, please put your questions underneath the video. I'll try to include them into the review of the prices maybe next week. Now the second thing is kind of tricky. I decided to put street safety and safety feeling as number 2 factor, because that's what I think it is. Not everybody comes here to get married or even to improve their private life. Again, we are getting back to that rating of males, age 25 to 55. Many of them will be interested in that. And we'll talk about that a bit later. In the family research group I'm running, we have a little genealogy set up on Facebook where people are researching their Belarusian genealogy. We had a discussion about traveling or not traveling to Belarus this season. And unfortunately, Americans, like the typical Americans who go by the media headlines and go exactly by the travel advice of their State Department of State, the reviews were no, they're harassing Israelis, referring to the headline in Israeli newspaper, Jerusalem Post, about Dagestani tossing an airport 2,000 kilometers away from here, from Minsk, searching for the Jewish refugees, and referring to 2020 political stirrings, political rallies, events when some people got grabbed indiscriminately on the street, and based on this, the US State Department says don't travel, you can be grabbed randomly on the street. So that's not entirely about this, and of course most of you know that you don't come here for politics and it's not really your trouble to be taking into account. Mostly we're talking about walking, day, night, your district, any other district, train station, airport, whatever. And the police will be there watching other guys, all kinds of, let's say, skin colors, to be behaving all right. The white ones, the black ones, whatever other ones may be outside if they're sober, if they're straight, if they're behaving right. And again, I was quite shocked when one of the Americans said that, oh, that homeless guy would be allowed to pee just outside the restaurant in our city. Tell me if that's any true, because I'm still shocked and I really can't believe that thing happened, except the guy just told me about it as it is, and that's not what's happening here in Belarus. People are going to the toilet. There are just 2 doors in the toilet, if you know what I mean, and street safety in this respect is much more higher than somewhere in some Western destinations, let's go that way. Adding a little bit to the previous point, we can mention the state big boss kind of security point. Here, you don't lose a job if you're rejecting a vaccination. It's somebody's free choice so far. And by far, the digital print, the digital big eye is not really watching you everywhere. We're not yet even talking about digital money. I don't think it's even technically possible. Although I'm here by the bank run by the Russian Sber, maybe they know better. But for now, we have cash, we believe in cash, we use cards, of course, we use crypto, and there are multiple solutions to somebody who wishes to use their money the way they see fit. Let's put it correctly and like this. Over here, we still stick to the traditional, somewhat conservative family values. Like I told you earlier in the videos, our constitution dictates that a family is a union between man and wife, and we do not welcome any other combinations. Although, let's say, other kinds of unions are not exactly unwelcome, they do not make a crime, so they can do their own thing, whichever way they see fit. There's just no parade about this in any form, in any way, anywhere. And some families that I know of, and some men looking to get their women here, wives, partners, they came here exactly to be looking for straight, let's say, conservatively behaving woman that makes you feel a man, and she does the woman, the female part. These days everything is mixed up, I understand this, and the values are shaken and stirred and everything, but it's up to you to decide which way you wish to go. But so far I haven't seen too many Western women coming over here for the opposite thing, so that's somehow true. So family values, classical values, whichever way you call them, that's number 3. And number 4 would be easy bureaucracy. Very rarely I hear that some process would have been much simpler overseas. Kazakhstan is quite advanced in terms of digital services. Russians are getting there as well. But in here, there are many things that are done through a certain office on a certain day in a certain time frame, like migration office procedures. Well, happily that keeps me in the business. I hope I'll abandon this kind of business because I believe in producing something solid and serious, rendering services, producing stuff rather than, shuffling papers, which some people are badly fond of, and I hate that, although it feeds me, I can't deny that. And over here in Belarus, a lot of things can be done easier than in the electronic state, where you just get your rejection and you can't dispute it. Here you can go through the human factor barrier, which is like 2-factor authentication, sometimes even 3 factors. And some of my clients actually got their thing straightened up, especially that case with a 3 months TRP given to one of my clients, which was then straightened into 12 months. No corruption or connections used, just the normal reasoning and the standard procedure. And this is something to our benefit, although most of these things are bound to go digital in a year or 2, if not sooner. And this thing will be online and much easier and will be no problem. A property deal here is a 1-day deal, unless you wish to check the background of the property and some other related processes may be involved. This may take longer time than 1 day, otherwise it's just a 2-hour operation. Everything, homework done, that just gets you to the table with the seller, you walk out as the owner. That's as simple as that. They tell me in Germany it's much more complicated, and so it is in Canada. And last but not least, somewhat related to the points above, is the accessibility of the country. That kind of helps all the first 3 or 4 points. We have extremely easy visa process compared to our passports getting EU visas. Let's say me going to Germany would take this many papers collected here and there, finger scans, fingerprints. So all this is much easier, but at the same time it kind of closes down all the, let's say, funny visitors from Belarus. Although it's arguable, of course, there are different rumors about happenings at the border with Poland, and the Poles are trying to tackle that thing. Well, back in 2018, when I had my last trip into Poland, I had my Schengen visa, I had my finger scan, I declared my money to tell them I'm going shopping. That was kind of fun, that was doable. But again, we have our visa process with this human factor thing and with written procedures, following which it's quite easy to get a visa. Just for those Westerners, those lucky Westerners who are visa-free for 150 countries, give or take, it's as simple as sending a postcard to Santa, as long as you remember Santa's address. It's as complicated as writing down an address on the envelope. And of course you'll have to fill the visa form, which is nothing complicated, answer 30 questions. Sometimes the translation is glitchy, but that's okay. By the way, I'll make a video about filling a visa form. And the rest is quite simple. Then over here you have to be serious, unlike some people wanting a cheap house somewhere 3 hours away from Minsk. That bullshit doesn't work. The government requires you to play fair game, and you may expect a return favor. So that, my dear friends, tops the list of top 5 factors, groups of reasons for somebody to relocate to Belarus. Please argue in the comments, ask questions. The criticism is welcome. I don't really see things very straight all the time, but I'm still learning. I guess that makes me advantaged over the guys who don't. And at some point I'll be happy to assist you here in Minsk and see you here in Minsk for some business. This was Andrei from Minsk. Cheers, see you later.